Hi everyone, welcome. In this video, let's continue talking about this shape on the upper left. So in the previous video, we talked about white's number 10, this hane, and all the variations and potential complications that this will lead to. But for a lot of players, especially beginners and amateurs, you might want to keep playing on top as white in this situation, right? Keep playing on the fourth line and building a wall here. So how do you do that? There are two ways to do it. One is to play this diagonal move, and the other is to play right here. So in this video, let's cover the diagonal move first. This is really forcing, right? Because if black doesn't play for some reason, you can cut off number 9 this way, and the corner will be in danger. So black will have to respond. There are a few ways to respond. One is right here, which kind of goes back to a pattern we've already seen. And of course, if you're building a wall as white, you can just play on top, and this is perfectly fine. But of course, in this situation, black gets sente, and black will be able to come to the left side first. Black gets sente, but white does get a wall on the third line, right? So this is good. And this is relatively straightforward, number 11 right here. What's less straightforward is right here, on the second line. What happens now is that number 9 and 11 are very solid. It's out on the upper side, very hard for white to contain, but the corner has a potential weakness. But again, white is about to switch directions. It's trying to come into the corner, black blocks here, and white has this hane and number 14, right? And this again makes use of black's weakness and shortage of liberties. Black cannot cut here. This way, black will get killed by number 16. So black can only capture number 12. And what happens now is that this is actually very similar to the Joseki we saw in the previous video, but in this situation, it's better for black because white made an exchange with 10 and 11. Number 10 doesn't add much, but number 11 can spell more trouble for white sometime down the line, right? So it's either this or white can play the Atari first, but black is already alive. White does get to preserve and enclose black, but black will come out this way. And this is better for black because black actually has a very solid shape, right? Number 9, 11, and 19. It's a very solid shape, has potential on the upper side, and white's potential compared to black's living corner and black's potential on the upper side is limited. Right, so this is actually better for black compared to the Joseki we saw in the previous video. So this is why white needs to be careful when playing number 10 when the board is empty like this, because black can play and number 11, and this is really kind of daring white to switch direction again. But you have to know that switching direction after number 10 and 11, this exchange may not be as good as simply playing the hane in the attachment as this Joseki. This is better for white compared to the variation we just saw. But of course, if you're just trying to build a wall on the fourth line, you can also just keep playing on the fourth line. This is totally fine for beginners and amateur players if your objective is to build a wall, right? Keep playing on the fourth line. As long as black cannot get to the fourth line, you're doing fine. Though when the board is empty like this, it may not be the best course of action. Once again, so I emphasize this again and again here in my Joseki videos because I see this mistake again and again in my game reviews for double-digit cube players and beginners. They do not play on the corners when the board is empty, when the corners are open, right? These are always more valuable. These moves, 3-3 invasions, approaches, corner closers are always more valuable than building a wall here in number 12. But of course, sometime down the line, when you feel the need to build a wall, number 10 and number 12 are totally fine moves to play. And of course, number 12 also preserves the possibility of triggering the variation here in the corner. So if black ignores you, and you have an extra move on the outside, this will be better, arguably, for white, right? Because you have an extra move on the outside, extra reinforcement. So that's number 11. Something to watch out for. if white tries to switch direction, but if you're just trying to build a wall, it's not that complicated. Lastly, black also has this Hane. The idea is to really prevent white's Hane here, right? This way, number 15 will become an Atari, and of course, white cannot afford to lose number 10. Black is simply too strong on the outside. This is not going to be okay. This is simply too strong on the outside, and the corner is too small for white. So this is definitely not okay for white. White cannot give up number 10. In this way, it's definitely playable for both sides. I don't think white can capture number 11 on a ladder, but this will be a fight, right? This will probably be a fight, something like this, but playable for both sides. But this also means that white cannot really switch directions or come into the corner that easily, right, with these two moves, number 12 and 14. So white might as well play on the upper side. And now black can connect here, which is a solid move. It further eliminates any danger with E18, with this move, right? This no longer exists. Number 14 no longer exists after number 13. Very, very solid. And of course, white can just keep playing on the fourth line with number 12 and 14. Again, good way to build a wall. And black, of course, also has this move. Leaves a little more aji here on the upper side. What white needs to do now is actually to come in and sacrifice number 14. Right? Might be tempting to think about keep playing on the fourth line. Of course, totally fine for beginners in cube play if you're just trying to build a wall. But this is something that you have to know, or at least know that it exists, right? Sacrifice number 14, you're forcing black to capture. Now you Atari here, you sacrifice number 14. So what's all these for? Is for this kind of a bumping move against black. If black plays on the outside, which is actually suggested by AI in these situations to come out and fight, white will connect, will save number 18 actually, will come out. And this will be a fight, right? It will get complicated, but it's playable for both sides. But for most amateur players, I think in this situation, would prefer just to capture number 18. And this will be slightly better for white. Once again, look at this wall, very solid, 6 stones on the outside. Black can't really cut because number 24 is Sente, and number 23 this way will be relatively more vulnerable, right, than the fight that we just saw. So most likely, black will have to play another move on the second line. And now white can take Sente and play elsewhere, maybe a move on the left. Because black cannot really afford to allow white to play this Atari in Sente. This is simply too big. Number 24, 25, this exchange is simply too good for white. So most likely, black will have to play a move. And again, number 21, 23, both moves on the second line, not great for the opening. So this is what you need to know as an amateur player. Maybe not as a beginner, a little bit complicated, but sacrificing number 14 is about 18 and number 20. This bumping move, really good about beating a wall on the outside or triggering a fight if black wants to come out and fight. But this fight, of course, will be harder for black because white is pretty strong on both sides, I would say, and black doesn't have a base. So black can only move toward the center. So that's number 13, right? So it doesn't really eliminate all the weaknesses on the upper side compared to the connection. But of course, if you connect here, then it's easier for white to build a wall. If you play here, then white will have all kinds of moves that can be quite a headache, I think, for black. At least I would be having a headache if I were black in the situation facing number 20. But of course, you might ask, what if black connects here? Then white can come into the corner, potentially. White will almost certainly play here right now, even in the opening. And white can leave it here. White can leave it here. And this number 22 will be a very, very big endgame move, right? So white is taking the corner, taking some territory and ice space. Of course, black is already alive, but black is relatively small, only about 5, 6 points here, when it could have preserved the whole corner. Instead, it's white's corner territory with very good ice space. So this is a very big endgame difference if you play at number 17, this connection. So that's why it's better territory-wise for black to play at number 17 and face this headache with his potential fights on the outside. So that's number 11. Gets a little complicated, but hopefully everything made sense. Or at least you have to know that number 14 and all the sequence exists. And that's it. These are the 3 moves, 1, 2, and 3. Does black have other moves? Do you have this? Not really. This is too slow. This is simply too slow. And white will be very happy to keep playing on top. Right, number 11 right here will be simply too slow. So if you're faced with number 10, you know you got options, right? This will go back to something hopefully that you're familiar with now if you've been following these Joseki videos in order. Or you can come out this way or this way, but relatively more peaceful, I would say, compared with the cross Joseki, avoiding the cross on the variations we've already seen here on this playlist. Of course, as always, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Good luck, and thank you for watching.